This just feels weird. Normally, we've got a massive buffer zone between the Japanese and Western releases of Pokemon, meaning I've got months of stewing in spoilers and finally breaking down and importing a copy before everyone else gets on the same page. This time, none of that. The global worldwide release means I can hunker down in my new game bomb shelter with a case of vanilla Coke, a couple pizzas, and the knowledge that for the first time since the internet became a thing, I can slam face through a Pokemon game and be surprised. Something I'd never seen before might show up and I gotta solve it through context clues and picking apart its design. And then I encounter a freaking Pidgey. The same Pidgey I've been catching since '98. Pokemon X and Y represent the 6th generation of the famously bifurcated series, with another 100 or so cute creatures to obtain and train, trade, and I can't think of a rhyme. I don't think there's a man, woman, or child on the face of the earth who doesn't grok the basic mechanics. Random battles, RPG-style character progression, beating down and subjugating monsters you encounter in the wild using balls that fly in the face of nearly every physical law. That much we're set with. The question is, what separates this generation from the 5 that came before it? Aside from the rampant Frenchness. Seriously, I tried playing this game with an episode of Wakfu in the background and nearly sprained something. Behold Lumiose City, the biggest freaking town in Pokemon history. It's got 3 separate regions you can fly to, 43 shops, cafes, and other explorable buildings, including 3 Pokemon centers, and the freaking Eiffel Tower, or a facsimile thereof. On the one hand, it's obvious that the series is trying to go bigger and larger with every iteration, now offering breathtaking views of landmarks and castles where you can go and have your picture taken just like a good tourist. But on the other, well, the game's camera just hates you. And it's a Pokemon game, which means that really doesn't matter as much as in, anything with action. But I've experienced some of the stupidest angles imaginable in the history of the series. Because what you really need to be seeing as you head into a new town is a hard close-up of your own character running forward with no indication of what's in front of him. But hey, at least you can change your clothes. Because your average Pokemon fan is a very chic and trendy individual, there is certain content that's out of bounds unless you're dressed stylishly enough. And don't get me wrong, I like the fact that you can switch out your gear for a purely cosmetic change of pace, but using it to lock content is just a way of delaying it until you get to the end game, and money doesn't really matter. It is, of course, unless you're really into that sort of thing, to the detriment of your dream of catching them all. Which might not even be your dream in the first place, come to think of it. Black and White introduced us to the concept of having 2 contemporaries alongside whom you take your first steps into the world. X and Y doubles that. Now you've got your serious rival, another girl who's mostly in it for the cute things, a nerdy kid who measures his self-worth in terms of Pokédex completion, and a dude who wants nothing more than to dance. Really covering all the playstyles here. Which brings us to Mega Evolution. By equipping a rather obviously named stone like Lucarionite, Gengarite, or Blastoisinite to the appropriate Pokemon, they can undergo a Mega Evolution and grow more spikes and get a stat boost, ability change, and/or an entirely new typing. On the one hand, it provides a new and interesting strategic element as well as a new lease on life for some of the more obscure monsters like Mawile and Absol. Then they get kind of abusive with Mega Garchomp like he needed a boost, and 2 different flavors of Mega Mewtwo. You can only Mega Evolve 1 Pokemon per battle, and the evolution stays even if that Pokemon switches out. And I was going to say, so don't be afraid to use U-Turn until I did some research and found that there aren't any Mega Pokemon that can learn U-Turn. And as usual, you thwart the machinations of a very fashion-forward doomsday cult hell-bent on destroying the world while realizing your dream of being the best like no one ever was, just like all the rest of them. The story certainly feels a bit weaker than the 5th generation's tale of the plight of N. I thought we were making progress here. Oh well, geez, I managed to blow through this amount of time without even touching on the new type or the new training methods available or any of the number of innovations designed to help you connect to your fellow trainers around the world. So I'm just going to cut it here and pick up in the second part of the review. Same Zubat time, same Zubat channel.